Well, hey everybody, it's Kara from Nine Lives Paranormal, and I am here with Kevin Hoover from Rue Morgue Magazine. Rue Morgue is one of the sponsors of The Hollow. I'm also with Christine Jansen, who runs our film department for The Hollow, and John Shea, who is my partner in crime when it comes to The Hollow. And we're all here to talk about The Hollow and Rue Morgue Magazine. So, that being said, let's introduce Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Oh, hi. How are you? Listen, I appreciate you guys having me on for this.
Oh,
Super excited to chat with you guys.
We're
yeah,
excited that to talk to you, and we're excited that you're coming,
we're really
to the
excited.
Hollow. So we're thrilled.
Yeah.
We do a lot of horror conventions throughout the year, but they're just horror specific or film fests as well. This will be a real treat for me because it's the first ever paranormal event that I've been to. So I'm really kind of excited to get on the ground there and see what everything's all about.
Well, the best part is that when Kira approached me, because we were friends prior to her approaching me about that she wanted to grow the Hollow and make it grander, more immersive, and a different experience than anybody has um, really done different than before. So I was all excited about the fact, like, how big, and she's like, big. So I'm excited about the fact that hopefully this is a really great experience for you, and we build a relationship as we move forward and discovering where the Hollow is going to be going, because when we talked about this, the Hollow is an experience that is different for everyone.
Mhm.
However you want to experience it is how you're going to experience it. So I'm just excited about, because I never did a scope this size.
Mhm.
Just to see the end result is going to be really fascinating and fun. And Christine's been a big part of this with us as well. So I'm just excited over the whole thing. I just can't believe we talked about this in February, and then now it's like boom, we're here. So yeah,
So you have no experience in paranormal, or do you have, besides a paranormal like horror type film?
Well, okay, so I've I've done one paranormal ghost hunt, perhaps,
Okay.
or where I live in Tennessee, around Nashville, and there is every year a haunted kayak tour, and I forget the town that it's in, but supposedly when you take this kayak trip, you take it over an underwater cemetery. The story was this: there was this town, and then eventually it was flooded out, and so now the spirits wander this area. Um, and so I've done that. And then growing up, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, which is largely considered one of the most haunted towns anywhere in the world, I
right.
think.
Yeah.
Um, and so I never went on any ghost hunting expeditions there. Um, but the town itself has its own haunted history, and I've done some of the ghost tours, some of the kind of kitschy stuff that all the tourists do. It took me moving away to come back and do all the kitschy tourist stuff because I was a tourist at that point. But yeah, it's I've never really done any ghost hunting, so I'm really interested to step into your world and meet some of the dignitaries that are going to be at the Hollow Paracon here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It should be interesting and give you a perspective on when you do see horror films that tend to be paranormal horror. You can compare, like we were doing, we used to do this thing called Popcorn in the Paranormal, and we would take a horror film that had paranormal tropes in it, and we would say what was real, what was somewhat real, and what was like complete BS. And you'll get even a perspective of that too. So I know Christine probably has questions to ask about Rue Morgue and film. So go ahead, Christine.
Well, it is one of my favorite magazines to always hear the latest and always to support other indie filmmakers who are making horror. And as a filmmaker, I love hearing the behind the scenes tidbits like that. That's my favorite part, to hear those secrets, inner secrets and ideas of like how they made what they made. So I just absolutely love that. And it's interesting what you're saying, because there is like this Venn diagram of fans or fans of horror, but also people who explore in the paranormal world. So that's why there is that. And that's one of the things too, that we were trying to just be so careful and respectful of both, because we're not trying like just being respectful of the cryptid and the paranormal world and the horror. So being very clear when we're showing documentaries and when we're showing narrative or more fictional works. So my question to you is, have you ever had like a ghost experience?
Ooh, have I ever had a ghost experience? Nothing comes to mind that I can specifically point at the moment. Have there ever been those times where things have creaked or doors are open or things have moved that are unexplainable? Perhaps. But in terms of one that I could point back to specifically, no, I'm sorry. I guess I'm a bit vanilla in that sense. I have nothing good to give you there.
And I know this is also another tough question, and I don't know if this sure is the answer, but what is your top horror film?
You got two of my questions you took. Anyway, go on.
All right, look, I've got answers for this. Favorite classic, Psycho. Favorite contemporary, Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And I would say that probably ties with Sinners. Sinners came out last year, and I just think it's one of the best films ever made, bar none, outside of just the genre itself. Favorite franchise is Friday the 13th. And I have favorites within that, but none of those top Psycho in terms of being like a favorite horror film. So
I thought Psycho, even The Birds was because it's the same director. I thought that it was just a genius kind of concept. It was sort of had this suspense, but it was also DIY to a point because of what they used to make the scene scary enough for people to get, the cut scenes back and forth and the chocolate syrup as the blood. It was just, to me, it was just genius. I mean, and even The Birds, The Birds were just that was a great movie based off of how he shot it and how he, directed what he needed to push someone based off of that they didn't actually have that scene in place. So like The Birds, kind of that she would just look like she was nuts until the other piece was added, was kind of really interesting. Plus, I thought Tempe Hedren did a phenomenal job too.
what's fun about Hitchcock is when we think back about him, Hitch only ever made two horror films, The Birds and Psycho. Hitch was the master of suspense. And Psycho, when you hear the story, he filmed it based on Robert Bloch's book, which if you've only ever seen the film, definitely buy and read the book. It's I don't want to say it's better than the film, but just the portrayal of the Norman Bates character is so different than how it was played on screen. The length to what Hitch had to go to ensure that the ending was never spoiled. So you hear these stories that he sent people out to buy all the copies of the book off of the bookstore shelves so people couldn't read it and have the ending ruined, right? It was all about that third and final act and that big reveal. And in a time prior to social media, when people were spoiling everything, he really had to go through, jump through a lot of hoops to make sure that the ending of the book wasn't spoiling the ending of the film. It's
Right.
pretty interesting.
Right. Did you like Bates Motel since Psycho was your favorite classic kind of horror?
Never really gave Bates Motel a shot, to be honest.
Oh, I loved it.
Now, I think, especially within horror, we tend to disparage sequels before we even give them a chance. It's what our fandom has done to us, right? If you love something and then the studios produce sequels and kind of run it into the ground and milk it for everything, and then you just kind of learn to maybe not like the sequels quite as much. Um, the sequels to Psycho 2, phenomenal.
Yeah,
Mick Garris was involved with that, and it was a great movie. Psycho 3 was really good. They started to lose their shine a little bit by the time Psycho 4 came out,
right.
but Psycho 2 specifically is such a strong film and just adds to the canon and takes nothing away from it. Like, if you enjoy Psycho, you definitely have to see Psycho 2. And to that end, even the books, Block continued with a Psycho 2 book. And there was another one, I forget the title, Psycho House, I think it's called. Uh, but even the follow-up book, like, this was one of those rare instances where the follow-up was almost as good as the original.
Right. But I love the fact that, with society today,
Mhm.
everybody has to have a backstory. Everybody
Yeah,
has to
right.
understand it. But because, we didn't really know in Psycho, like we just assumed this is what it was. Bates Motel actually talked about what the inner demons were from Norman, and then the inner demons of the mother, and what she did to, sort of, I guess, save him in its own way, but it also made her so. And then the like how they interacted with each other, sort of led up to what Psycho was, and so you
Okay.
had a better understanding. But the actress was phenomenal, and the kid that played him, I forgot, was also in many other movies. Overall, it was a really great experience, and I highly suggest that show. That's
Okay.
just me. But
And to your point, John, and even Kevin, because now and you talked about Friday the 13th, you are coming to the Friday the 13th Central. We do have the camp where Camp Crystal Lake here. We do have the diner in New Jersey, and while you're here, you should check it all out. And that being said, they are making on putting on Peacock, they're putting on Crystal Lake, and which I can't wait to see, which will also delve into the backstory of Jason Voorhees and his mother. So it's always got a mother.
I've been to the camp. I've been to the diner.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, my girlfriend, that was her Christmas present, was we did a trip up to Camp Novi Bosco.
Yep.
It's in the Blairstown, New Jersey, I guess.
Yep.
Because I remember when we flew into Allentown, I think is what the town perhaps was called. And it was like the smallest little airport we've ever been to. But when we got into the area, because it was fall, the leaves had changed. The area was gorgeous. We just love that part of the country anyway. And we came on a Friday the 13th, and we did a nighttime tour. And we went to the diner, and the line was wrapped around the building, and it was just packed. We got to sit, and we made friends with people in line, and everybody came out in their best Friday the 13th garb. Spirit Halloween was there doing some promotional stuff. And then we went to the camp, and it was so much fun. Like, if there's any Friday the 13th fans out there that are kind of sleeping on this experience, you have to go buy this ticket, do it at least once. It's the camp itself is kind of trapped in time. And just to see some of those locations, they do it up. They have stills from the movie showing you, this cabin was Alice's cabin, and this happened here and that happened there. They go out of their way to make sure you get the full Friday the 13th experience. I loved it. On top of loving that part of the country, I just really loved being there as well, being there at the camp.
So you had said that the franchise of Friday the 13th was your real, you loved that franchise. And then what were your favorite Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th, when I was a young fan, I remember there was a kid in the neighborhood and said, "Oh, you got to watch this movie about this guy in a hockey mask." And I watched it, and it scared the hell out of me. And that's part of why I fell in love with horror. We're always chasing that next thrill, and I've been chasing that for 40 plus years now. The first movie I was introduced into was Part Two.
I love
Of course, with the Friday the 13th films, you don't really have to watch them in order if you don't want to.
Right.
Part Two. So to this day, I still prefer Gunny Sack Jason over Hockey Mask Jason. Friday the 13th 5, I love just because it is pure schlock and camp. And I love it for all of its faults, not in spite of its faults, for all of its faults. Part 1 is still definitely, I think, the strongest in the franchise. Yes. But yeah, I think 2 was probably always, growing up in Southeast Georgia, we were always kind of surrounded by woods. And so that's what we as children told each other: get home before it gets dark, or Jason's going to come out of the woods and get you. And I would never thumb my nose at anybody's fandom, but certain horror icons, Nightmare on Elm Street's really cool. Chucky is really cool. But it was always that thought of like some crazed hillbilly living in the woods that could chase us down, that always just seemed a little more real than everything else that was out there.
Right.
And it just stuck with me.
I think that in the 80s, we didn't really have much of a choice of the type of horror like Friday the 13th brought to the table, because in the 80s, we had Prom Night, The Fog,
right.
Halloween 2, those types of things that were not as like this. Like camping was a big deal back then. Like you went to camp. Kids went to camp a lot more than they do at this point. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I was like you. I saw, Friday the 13th because Part 2, because, where I live, we asked someone, if we pay you money, can you get us in? And they're like, but we're not seeing that movie. It doesn't matter. Just take the money and do it. So we saw Friday the 13th Part 2. I mean, I don't know if it's like with you, like if you watch 1, you have to watch 2. Like it has to be back to back. I like 3. I did. I think that is camp at its best. I love campy horror. From Night of the Demons, the original, it just, to me, I love all of that. I think that's great. I forgot which one it was. The one when Tommy was in the car with the girl, and the girl was the father, was the sheriff or the police officer.
Oh yeah, Part 6.
That was part. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, Jason in space. I mean, like,
yeah,
seriously. But anyway. What did you think of the redo?
The redo was, it was okay. Now, Friday the 13th has been mired in lawsuit for far too long. And so as a way to kind of circumvent that, they launched this Jason Universe thing, which had a new, I guess you would call it a film. It's just a really long beer commercial. That came out last year for Angry Orchard beer, I think it was.
Yeah.
They've redesigned the mask. The new mask is done by Greg Nicotero, and it has 13 holes in it. Jason he's lean. He appears to be, I don't know, 18, 19 years old. It's just, and they're licensing this iteration of Jason out. So there's this talk about new films, new properties starring this new Jason, the Jason Universe Jason, and it's proven to be very divisive amongst fans. It's kind of like, we always wanted more Jason. We just don't know that this is the Jason that necessarily we wanted. And I'm curious to see if we, and that includes me, eventually come around, because it appears as though if we want more Jason, we have to accept this
What
new
they're
flavor
putting
of him. Yeah.
out. I see that. I don't know if it's very hard to, as you get older, to rationalize. He's 67 years old. I don't understand. Like, it's hard to, like, even with Michael Myers, like, my favorites were, I love, that music from Halloween
Mhm.
gets me. I just love it. I even if I hear it on the thing, I go, oh, I have to watch it. I've watched this hundreds of thousands of times on repeat. I
Mhm.
just love the movie. It just, I don't know, it's just exciting to me, even how many times I've seen it. But like from 1 to 5, after that, it just lost it. Even the newer Halloweens, I just was hard to detach that there were other things that played in the 1 through 5, or even more than that, and you forget about it and you start a fresh piece. And
Right.
it was very hard for me to separate the two, so I didn't like it.
While we're talking about sequels, at the Hollow Paracon, you guys have Michael Williams from the Blair Witch.
Mhm.
And people give me such shit because I love the Blair Witch Part Two, but having him there from the original Blair Witch, I mean, that's like if I've got a list of somebody that I'm coming to meet and get autographs and selfies with, like that guy's at the top of my list that weekend.
Yeah. So me and Kara were actually talking about, because I think that when the Blair Witch came out, it was like what, 1998, 1999,
I think 99. Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And I foolishly, I don't know if you knew, I assumed it was real. So
Mhm.
I was packing my bag, going and getting tickets to go. And I lived in New York at the time. I sat in the front row of the theater because that was all they had left. And I'm like this the whole time. And I'm going, I watched the sci-fi thing and I was so excited. And
Mhm.
then I find out it's fake. And I
Yeah,
was so disappointed that I'm like, what the?
yeah.
I got had. And then people go, you didn't know it was fake? No, I didn't. I was trying to find out, where is this place and we're going and who's coming. So, but that started a whole other genre of horror that was never really there.
Mhm.
Like, to me, it felt like that was the found footage type
Mhm.
thing, like the Point Pleasant tapes that Jesse and them did. But I mean, I think that whole Blair Witch defined a whole type of genre of horror that really wasn't tapped into, that it sort of branched off. There's from what we gathered, there was a lot of other independent films that have done this POV kind of thing that are not even being seen, which is kind of sad. So, you know, I hope this sparks more people, looking into that kind of genre again, that I don't think anybody's really done since then, really.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah.
thing.
That whole documentary kind of niche, the directors of Blair Witch had said that they were largely inspired by The Legend of Boggy Creek, which is like, I think perhaps one of the only G-rated horror films. You can't even really call it horror, but it's certainly horrifying in its subject matter. And for folks coming in, or perhaps folks who are learning about Blair Witch, maybe at the Hollow, Boggy Creek, the director, Charles B. Pierce, his daughter, undertook the mission of restoring the film, basically wrangling the rights back from bootleggers. And it's been a years long expedition of hers, and then restoring it on 4K. There's Blu rays, there's DVDs, there's essentially now an official release. Terror Vision, which is a fantastic boutique label, they've released the film even on VHS. The soundtrack to the film So Legend of Boggy Creek, like there are folks that come out of your event and go, man, I want more stuff like Blair Witch. Definitely check out the Legend of Boggy Creek, which had a huge influence on um, Blair Witch. You know, the directors even said the road to Burkittsville, Maryland leads through the bottoms of Falk, Arkansas.
Right.
So it's a great film, great place to start.
You know, Boggy Creek was a great movie. It you know, it was you know, with the Bigfoot. So you know, it was, you know, that we were talking about. Like, I'm sorry, I'm dominating this. I don't mean to. I just find it fascinating. Like, it's nice to have someone to talk to about like this besides like these guys, because that's what we talk about. Like, but we were trying to define how, you know, like the cryptids fly in order, right? So it's always like, you know, Bigfoot to me, number one. I find it fascinating. Those shows, I find it absolutely fascinating that people go in the woods that they don't really know to look for something that they don't really know is really could be there, or it could be a disaster waiting to happen. And I think that that is sort of exciting in its own way. Like, if somebody said, would I go on a Bigfoot expedition? Yes, I probably would. I probably would, but I'd be petrified. I would be like, but I wouldn't mind doing something like that. But like, that was a defining moment. Just like, you know, like Blair Witch was also a defining film that actually recreated something that I would have thought would have taken off a lot more. Like, you know, horror died for a while until Scream.
Right.
Scream threw that whole horror back onto its like, okay, we're here. And, you know, nothing ever happens that early in a movie. It's always like 45, 50 minutes in, and then you're like, oh my God. But to start off like the way that it did, it was a really defining change in the horror genre, in my opinion. And that just changed the way people think about stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ghost face should continue its journey. I mean, that's just me. I like him, but you know, it's like, I don't know. It's just too much, I think.
So I love asking people the same question that you asked me. What's your favorite horror film and what was your gateway drug? So for you guys, what was it?
I love
Go
I
ahead.
love that question. Poltergeist was so for me. I've always loved haunted house stories. Those have been my horror. Oh my! Can you still see me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, cat problems. Okay, there you're back.
Oh,
The whole screen had just disappeared. But you know, in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of like we watched what the adults watched. There wasn't a lot of kids stuff. So Poltergeist was my favorite. But in the 90s, then my gateways were Are You Afraid of the Dark? Was like one of my Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side when Sci-Fi Channel came out. Like,
Nice.
and I've noticed that so many of my shorts, when I say I work in horror, everyone's like, "Ooh, I don't like horror." I'm like, no, they're like weird and dark and provocative, but like they are like Twilight Zone episodes. Legato's definitely very different, but the rest of my shorts, they're more just weird, dark, or twisted stories as opposed to like blood, guts, gore. Slasher is the opposite of what I like.
Okay.
Kira.
Oh, so my favorite, it's The Exorcist. I love The Exorcist, and I always have. And I actually, when they re-released it, what was it, like 20 years ago? Maybe they re-released it into the theater for a short stay. I actually went to go see it in the theater because I just loved it, and I wanted to have the big screen experience of seeing it. And when I saw it on the big screen, and I don't care, you know, I understand you're streaming and you can watch everything at home, but when you see something like horror on the big screen, it's like, that's like my heart. It's like, you have to experience it. Right. And if I'm not on the edge of my seat going like this, you know, it's like, you know, it doesn't mean anything to me. So The Exorcist. I love The Exorcist, and like you said, Christine, I never really. There wasn't anything growing up, and I'm older than Christine, so I grew up watching the horror movies my parents watched, and my dad happens to be a horror person, and a paranormal person like I was. So my first foray into watching, and I don't even know if you want to call it horror at that point, but my first horror movie actually was seeing Jaws.
Oh.
And so that it terrified me. But then after that, it was, I was hooked. And like you said, the opposite of, there's slasher films, and I like slasher films too. But slasher films for me, I enjoy because I'm like, oh, you put her in the wood chipper, I'm like, yes, you put her in the wood chipper, But what really makes me afraid are things like, oh God, Good Night, Mommy. I don't that terrified me. That was another one at the edge of my seat. I was like, because at the end I was like, is it really his mother? I was like, who is that person? What things like that, that really build up, and there's that sense of you really don't know what you're dealing with, and I just, I love all films like that. So yeah. So, and John, what was your gateway
see,
drug?
I live and breathe Halloween movies. I do like any horror, like my movies I go to, they're on all the time in my house. I don't need to like watch things anymore. I just know and I go in my head and I can see it, or I'll just recite lines as I'm doing things. But like, I love old horror. I mean, I like Christine. I'm a big horror fan of the classic pieces, but like I love haunted houses. I do. The Haunting is the original Haunting was phenomenal. You have the old Dark House. Remember that one with was it Boris Karloff? That was awesome. Um, I love like Halloween is probably my like go-to. I love Halloween too, more than I do love Halloween. I
Okay.
do. I just think I don't know, maybe because I went with my dad. I begged him to take me on Halloween to a theater that was in Staten Island, and it was like those old theaters with the balconies and everything, with the big, heavy red, drapes, and they had fog coming down off the thing, and it was great. My father always rushed home, so the way we did it, there was no one on the street. It was extremely dark, and I'm like looking back. So that excitement to me was exciting because of that heading back home. God, what else? I mean, the fog. I mean, I love that campy 80s vibe. Yeah, I mean, I love Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Or remember the movie Die Die, My Darling? That was a great movie because it played with your head. It was just like, for back then, I mean, even The Haunting, at first you didn't realize, was it really just her because she was sort of off? And then the group sort of got involved in this because she pushed the idea of it, and then it got into their own environment kind of thing. I don't know. It just the one thing when Kira was talking about how I got myself into horror, I don't remember when The Godfather was out, but we went to the drive-in. So the first movie was Thank God It's Friday, and then they showed the adult movie. So we were told in your pajamas with your bed with your pillow, you had to in the back seat. First movie's yours. Second, you have to go to bed. So fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the guy going like this with the horse's head, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" My mother goes, "Oh, go to bed." There was like in the car, and then from that point on, I mean, like Carrie. I remember like Carrie was just a wonderful movie. Piper Laurie is Sissy Spacek did an amazing job of them. They're redoing that too. Well, they're going to the beginning.
Yeah,
So
it's
with,
Mike Flanagan. Mike.
yeah, he's doing it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really loved any newer movies that I would be like, I love it. Like, because I don't know if they're not giving me what I got from, the 70s or the 80s style of movie. It just, but I'll tell you something. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I had too much coffee. But when I was younger and I lived in Staten Island, they were filming a movie. It was on Highland. It was New York Lane. And I don't know if you, when I say the movie, you'll remember. He Knows You're Alone. Okay. So they were filming, and that ice cream shop, it was called Seduto's, right? So you were in the thing. We were in there when they were filming, and they said to us, hurry up, get your ice cream. We're going to be starting shooting. And I'm like, what are you shooting? And they said, a horror movie. Oh my God, can I be in it? Can I be in it? Can I be in it? And I just kept saying, no, you don't. Can I be in it? So at the point, they just said to the guy, just sit over there and don't say a thing. They just wanted us to shut up. So we stood there and they gave us ice cream and we were like eating ice cream just like two kids there. And we weren't even in it, but we kept our mouths shut, but we weren't even in the damn thing. I was so excited. I ran home. I was like, we're in a horror movie. And they're like, no, you're not. But whatever. But we weren't. But that was exciting to us back then. Even with trick-or-treating back then was kind of fun. Now it's just kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's not what it's expected to be anymore. But
I love that Christine mentioned Tales from the Dark Side, because I'm pushing 50. And so when I was small, Tales from the Dark Side often aired in a 1-hour block, those anthology things, with another show called Monsters. Now, this is not the Monsters, not Herman Munster, any of that stuff. It was an episodic horror film or series. Right. And so you would have, Tales from the Dark Side, and then you had Monsters, which they both were very similar in tone, but you never knew, like, this week it'd be on Friday at 1 a.m. on Channel 2, and the next week it would be on Saturday on Channel 10 at 3 a.m. So it was very difficult to follow it. They were all syndicated. But I still love those. And usually around Halloween or October, I'll just put on, I have the old Tales from the Dark Side discs. And like yourself, a lot of people got introduced to it through sci-fi, those marathons. And I'll put on I'm a physical media guy, so I'll pop on the disc and just let them run. And, it's because I don't watch them all the time. A lot of times it's like, oh yeah, I love this episode, or it's just so much fun.
I remember this one. Yeah. I used to like, even though I was a little older, it was Erie, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. And I did like what Christine talked about. It was like Nickelodeon. It was Are You Afraid of the Dark? I mean, those things some of them were really geniusly thought out for a children's styled, TV show at Nickelodeon. I mean, they were pretty creepy.
Oh, yeah.
I also loved growing up in a time that I think it was Eisner was trying to do try to reach a teenager audience. Mm-hmm. So Return to Oz, like, it's not technically a horror, but I absolutely loved Return to Oz. Something Wicked This Way Comes, and
yes.
The other, it was actually my favorite. It's not coming to me right now, but she sees like a ghost version of a daughter in a mirror, and this daughter from the past looks a lot like her. It's just not coming to me right now, but it just also, like, it's those borderline that, to me, they were kids horror.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, I remember that when you started talking about it. I don't know if anybody remembers. Remember Lady in White?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was an underrated, really good one. I think that had Mona from Growing. No, Mona.
No. Who's the boss?
Who's the Boss was
Boss,
in
yeah.
that. Yeah, and then I forgot who the other kid was in there too, and then the father was Joe Polnicek's father from Facts of Life. Mindless things in my head, but yeah, I mean that was a great movie too.
Yeah.
So,
know.
in the films that were selected, that we're so excited to show at the Hollow, I've noticed a theme that a majority of them were either dark comedy or horror comedy. And that was just a very interesting trend I noticed. So, since you're constantly doing reviews and Indies just had such a great revival lately, have you noticed any trends in the reviews that you've been doing that you're seeing?
So okay, let's speak to the first point. The horror comedy, the dark comedies, those types of things. Anytime you try to marry two different genres, right? And you're a filmmaker, so it's hard enough just getting an idea down and drawing a narrative from A to Z. And so I do write for our magazine. I write for our website. I'm technically our digital marketing manager. But one of my favorite things to do is work with live event partners such as yourselves. And when I'm doing reviews, a lot of times, or at least me personally, I'll encounter these things where the directors are trying to reinvent the wheel, or the phrase I use is they just try to get too cute. And it's, you have to have a firm grasp on one thing before you try to do two things, all right? You can't put the peanut butter into the chocolate until you know how to make the damn chocolate to begin with. And so when we're trying to marry two different film styles together, it's a delicate balancing act. And sometimes it works really well and sometimes it doesn't. That's not to take anything away from anybody who attempts it. But if you just make a film, just stick to the nuts and bolts of telling a story and getting from the beginning to the end, right? You don't have to try all these weird, crazy things. Then you've already established something. You've already established yourself as a filmmaker and that you're capable of telling a story. In terms of current trends, horror comedy is always kind of out there. I just most recently reviewed a movie called Kraken. So that underwater
Yep.
sea monstrosity, the Kraken. And it was so crazy because as I'm like researching at an IMDb, apparently there was another film that came out around about the same time. So maybe the Kraken is just trending right now. When Sinners hit last year and got so big, we had kind of an onslaught of vampire films. They never really go away, but it just seemed like you got a lot more of those to come out. And I think right now, liminal horror is going to be the thing, with Backrooms making gonzo amounts of money. Obsession, I think, is going to fuel a lot of young folks who perhaps, always wanted to be filmmakers, but thought maybe I don't have the life experience to do it. Curry Barker is a guy in his 20s who was, shooting YouTube stuff, as was the guy who did Backrooms. And it's like, if you got a story to tell and you got a phone in your pocket, you can make a film. So I think, that's probably where things are going to be headed, at least in the near future anyway. Right? When you look at a film like Backrooms and you go, oh, this thing made $1 trillion, I can probably tell something like that. And so I think you'll probably see a lot of that stuff coming down the pipeline. But it's interesting, I think, that, well, you're a filmmaker, Christine. Your film, is it a horror comedy, or do you stick specifically to one trope or one idea?
It starts as a haunted house story and ends up with a demon possession.
Okay, there you
Very
go.
serious.
Very Little House on the Prairie.
But I would say it is like more adjacent to Sinners in the sense of that it's using horror to talk about social issues. So it's about generational trauma. It's about female relationships and how we sometimes keep secrets from one another. Like just how a mother, a daughter, a grandmother, and an aunt, how they all have different dynamics with one another, as well as just what the immigrant experience might be. So like those were all the top. So mine was more very Jordan Peele inspired, that it's talking about social issues through the lens of horror.
Nothing scarier than the real horror show that we're all living in right now, I think.
Amen.
Amen.
And that's really, you know, Rue Morgue has been around almost 30 years, and the magazine, we're headquartered out of Canada. Our writers, our team are based all over North America, essentially. I don't know if we have any international writers, perhaps. But the thing that really caught me, you know, I said one of my favorite things to do is work with live events, and I don't make myself real hard to find. My email is kevin@rue-morgue.com. So if anybody ever wants to email me and pitch me on an event or just ask me what I'm watching, I answer every email.
Right.
But what really caught my eye about the Hollow Paracon event was the fact that you guys are donating profits back to the Trevor Project and the Suicide Prevention Initiative.
Yep.
And those are foundations that I personally contribute to. So when we were able to kind of come together and figure out a way to have Rue Morgue on site, and we're so excited to be there, but even more excited in the sense that we're going to donate 10% of every subscription sold back to those foundations. And you know, it's like I said, it's something that I keep saying excited. Can you tell it's palpable? I'm friggin' excited for this.
Yeah, we are too.
But I think it's, you know, horror has always been inclusive, and perhaps the paranormal world is as well, right? The best people are those that are just a little left of center. And horror has always been inclusive. And right now we're kind of existing in this dumpster fire of a period where nobody wants to include anybody else for the stupidest shit possible. And at your event, we're telling people, come hang out with us. We are the weirdos, mister. Come on down.
Absolutely. That was a good one.
Absolutely.
And let's talk films and ghosts and magazines. You know, I'm going to be there. If you've ever wanted to know what it takes to write for Rue Morgue, you know, I've written a few pieces. If you are a writer, I know what it's like to be locked in your room at 3:00 in the morning with just the voices in your head and your computer and a pen. And I see you, you know, come, let's talk, let's chat, hang out at the table. Let's bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, because, you know, we're writers and we stick together. But more importantly, this whole industry is needed, I think, now more than it ever has been.
Right. I agree with you. I agree about the fact that, you know, so we are considered the weirdos, the ones that, you know, the night owls, and the ones that, you know, always push envelopes because, you know, we have stories to tell, but we're so passionate about it. That's what people should focus on, and not worrying about what happens behind someone's closed door or in their own personal, you know, their own personal life, that it's a part of who they are, but it's not really a defining for you to be friends with them or not. This stuff should be the matter, and how you relate to them. Because, you know, I'll be honest, because I'm just gonna be honest. You could cut this out. That's fine with me. But, you know, I grew up in an environment that I told the wrong person that I was gay, and it was, you know, I was born in '69, so I'm 57. So it was a very different time period that it is now. There was, even though that there are people that are shitting all over it, there are more people that they don't realize, that don't care, and they are accepting. Back then, it was very difficult being accepted and having friends when you didn't have this. None of the social media, none of it. You know, if you were a black sheep in your family, you had no real friends. It was very lonely for me as I grew up. Um, so when we, and I'm trying not to get it choked, but when Kira approached me and said what we were going to do it for the Trevor Project and for, you know, the Association for Suicide Prevention, it just it it made me happy that I can take my experience, not worrying about how I move forward, that I could save someone's life
Mhm.
and not be how I was, and give them an opportunity to be who they really should be. So I'm very proud of this whole, I'm sorry, experience, because I just feel really good about myself. And I just remember things from when I was younger, that these people are not going to have that, that they're going to have someone to talk to and someone to call, and other people that are out there, that were successful and went through it, and that are noticed, and that people don't care what they do in their personal life, that they care about that person inside, kind of vibe. So I'm excited over it. Sorry, I just needed to say that. But when we really didn't, we told people about this charity, but we didn't, you know, make it like, oh, it's a gay pride parade, everybody should go. But it wasn't like that, because we didn't want to be, you know, we didn't want to segregate, because that's not who we are. We wanted a very inclusive kind of environment that doesn't matter what's what, just everybody come and have a good time. So you
Well,
could cut that out if you want, but I
speaking of a
did say
good
that.
time, like I was looking at your guys' schedule, and you know, conventions. There's always like workshops and panels and that kind of stuff. Um, no matter what you're into, there is a panel, a workshop, or something. And I mean, like every hour on the hour. Like there
Yep.
is for the entire day. There is,
We
yeah.
have two classrooms running lectures and or workshops. We have the theater, which obviously has our movie blocks plus speakers in there, of two speakers in there. And plus we have Meet and Greet Central, where we're also going to have panels. We're also on the floor going to have lectures. So the smaller venued classrooms, which are more do-it-yourself, hands-on types of smaller audience-based interactive things, you know, we had to cap them because we have like a do-it-yourself, make a piece of paranormal equipment. So, you know, we can't have 150 people in there, you know, working with electricity, you know, so we had to keep the numbers small. However, you know, outside of that, you know, in the actual marketplace where the vendors will be, we have another stage in there. So even if you couldn't get into like a do-it-yourself or, you know, up close and personal type of experience with you know, astrology or whatever, you know, you will have up close experiences within the marketplace itself, and or the meet and greet, and or the theater, which holds like 250 people. So there's going to be there will be, you know, there's plenty to accommodate. So yeah, so our topics are ranging anywhere from you know, like I said, hands-on do-it-yourself, make paranormal equipment, you know, to astrology, to teaching yourself mediumship, to even we have the School of Special Effects and Makeup coming. So we have them doing special effects makeup tutorials, also like what to do with prosthetics, how to put it on, you know, how to take it off so it doesn't break, you know, and how to keep it. you know, all that. So there will be, like you said, there is going to be something for everybody. We have energy workers there, artists are going to be there, authors are going to be there. You know, you would be hard pressed. And like I said, we have an actual haunt built into the venue, so you can actually walk through a spook house. So there, you're going to be hard pressed to find to be bored. You're gonna have to look bored.
Yeah, I mean, you also have there's other people that you forgot. We have Sophie, which is from the convent, and she's bringing haunted items that are QR coded as well. She's going to be one of the speakers there. She's from America's Most Haunted Tattoo Parlor in Deptford, New Jersey. We also have the traveling Ouija board museum that will be a part of this as well. So that's fun. We also have 4 drag queens that will be performing at different times throughout the environment too. So that's kind of fun. You got
actually, there's actually one of the mistresses of the thing said that she's going to be dressing up like Jason Voorhees' mother. So, yeah, we're gonna have James Stokes, who does Jason, Night of the Beast fan film, that is going to be there, and so that's going to be an interesting photo op, you know, for people to have, you know, the mom and Jason, you know, together. So it's
go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I said it's, you know, we have a good I think array, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christy, I think we have a good array, a good balance between the paranormal and the film and horror genre at the same time. And we're in the middle of the Pine Barrens. I mean, come on, we're kumbayaing with the Jersey Devil. I mean, how can you, you know?
Yes.
And you get a chance to go on an hour tour with a licensed, you know, tour guide through the Pine Barrens, explaining to you, you know, the history behind and the folklore around this Jersey Devil. And I think that's exciting. Besides the fact that you got horror and film and, you know, the supernatural, you also have cryptid throughout our show as well. So to me, it's very eclectic. You know, me and Kira and Rick and Gail all strategically laid out. I think there's 95 vendors that we have throughout, as well as the Garden State Equality is going to be there. We have the Trevor Project, and we have the association. They're going to have tables all by each other, so it's pretty exciting.
So we have a resource center.
Yeah,
so pretty much.
So
that people, you know. But we put them together, so it'll be like a resource place for people if they need to talk or whatever.
Which is
so
great.
We really tried to think it out, like, you know, ahead. And I had a question, and now I just lost it.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It'll come back to me. It's like everything else. I lose my keys. I forget where I put my coffee down. You know, it's one of those things.
It's just exciting to see how everyone, I mean, no matter who we've talked to, they're so excited about this. They're so excited to be a part of something that we, you know, all thought of what it would be like. And, you know, we wanted to make it feel like different, that you weren't just going to pop up a table and sit there and go, okay, what are we doing? Like these people, you know, we gave them social media toolkits. We have totes. We have 22, I think, people that are volunteers that we are also going to have them walk around if somebody's by themselves or they need to, you know, walk around or go get something to eat or go to use the restroom. They're going to sit at their table to make sure that people don't feel like, oh, I can't go because I don't know. That we're going to have people be like this, the you know, floaters to float around to make people feel that they're not just stuck at their tables too, that they can venture out and explore as well. But every area is named, which is fun. It's Mother Leeds Marketplace. There's like Hades Hall and the Devil's Playground. So it's kind of been fun. It's been fun to play with all of it.
You mentioned cryptids, and the there's a good friend of mine, and he wrote for Rue Morgue forever, and he's just so incredibly busy. He's an author. He's a cryptid expert. Lyle Blackburn.
Oh, okay.
And Lyle used to pen a column for the magazine called Monstro Bizarro. Well, we have this thing called the Rue Morgue Library. So our magazine comes out 6 times a year, and it's reviews, interviews, that kind of stuff. But we have these books called Rue Morgue Library, which were very specific to certain topics. And one is Monstro Bizarro, and it's Lyle's columns. And I believe there's content just written exclusively for this book. And it's just on cryptids. And so I always bring this whenever we do a show, because it's actually one of the more popular books that we sell. And you can flip through it, and there's no reviews. It's not the typical magazine. It reads like an actual book, and people just love it. So I have to make sure to bring extras of those. I'm sure there's a discussion about the Jersey Devil.
We have Bill. Bill is pretty much very knowledgeable of that, right? Bill.
Yeah, Bill Visconti. Yeah, actually at his Cryptid Con, I think he had Lyle at it. I think.
Oh,
yeah, he did. Yeah.
So
he's the one with the cowboy hat, right?
Lyle. Yep.
Very
he has
nice
a band
man.
called Ghoul Town, and
very nice guy.
Narrates.
Go ahead.
Who was the other older gentleman that used to do, like, he was the older guy. He just recently passed.
Nick Pope?
Is that the older guy that was at the cryptid event?
He was. Well, I know Nick Pope. He does like UFOs, but and stuff like that.
Yeah, UFOs and Bigfoot was his big topic.
Yeah, and he passed. He just passed away.
Yes. Yeah, I got one of his. He brought over one of his like castings of Bigfoots, but I'm like, oh, I love it. I think it's great. But anyway, sorry.
I'm trying to think. Is there a horror movie based off the Jersey Devil?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Shriek of the Devil.
What is it?
Shriek of the Devil. It is, let me just check. It is Film Block 3, and it is the first film of Film Block 3.
Is there a commercially produced film like on like let's say The Legend of Boggy Creek or like whatever? Is there a commercially produced, on the Jersey Devil? I don't know.
There's several. They mostly live on Tubi.
Yeah. Hey, Tubi's a great resource.
I love Tubi.
It is.
It's good.
People like to go, well, it's not the clearest quality or whatever. And it's like, just watch the movie and enjoy it.
Yeah.
They get, I think they were the first to get Freddy's Nightmares, which is an old anthology series. They were the first place to house that. And then just recently, Shudder got the rights to HBO's Tales from the Crypt.
Really?
Yes. And then I was flipping through Tubi the other day, and Tales from the Crypt was on there, all 7 seasons. I don't know the quality of the episodes, but
that was a good
Tubi is not one to sleep on. It is. There is a production company out there called Small Town Monsters. Are you guys familiar with them?
Mm-mm.
Small Town Monsters does a big Kickstarter at the beginning of every year, and it funds their slate of new films for the year. They have done, and I mean, they're high quality productions. Lyle narrates, if not all of them, most of them. And I saw one, I reviewed one a couple years back on the Rougarou. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, Rougarou.
Rougarou.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done plenty, of course, on Mothman, Sasquatch creatures. They've done the Jersey Devil. And I remember part of their Kickstarter one year is you could get, if you hit a certain amount, like a ceramic bust of this artist's rendition of the Jersey Devil. And it was so wicked. It was so badass. They produced some really good stuff.
So, did you always live in Canada, or did you live in the States and then move to Canada, or?
No, he's not in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not. Okay, that's right. I'm
No,
sorry.
no,
I don't know.
never been. And that's what people often ask me when they come up to the table. They are, you don't sound Canadian. I'm
Okay,
not.
sorry.
I'm
Silly.
as far south from Canada as you can get.
So, do you remember when you were growing up? It was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday. They used to be Channel 13 would show all the old horror movies, but it would start it off as Chiller, and the thing would come out like the hand out of the water and say,
I remember
Chiller.
that.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember those. I do remember, like we were talking, the Tales from the Dark Side. I remember those. And then like Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs, the Up All Night, those types of things that had a host with wraparounds on each segment.
Yeah.
Bully is still going pretty strong.
Well, even Bob Briggs is doing still stuff with he's doing like things at like the drive-ins type thing,
Yep.
which is great.
He had a show on Shudder, which ran for 7 seasons. They just recently canceled it. And then he's got a couple of specials that are kind of trickling out through the end of the year. But he does a bunch of in-person, like the Mahoning Drive-In and some of the various other venues, and he'll host different films there, which is I've seen him in person a few times, and he's fun. Like if you ever get the chance to see him in person, not to mention just as knowledgeable as can be. Like you could ask him anything and he would just, I genuinely think just anything, like not even film. Like I think you could just ask the man any question and he would just know an answer to it.
So what, so being a writer for Rue Morgue, do you get an opportunity to interview some of these stars that have been in the movies as well, or is it just specific, the movie kind of thing?
There's a couple of different avenues there. So generally when a new property is coming out or a new book, movie, video game, whatever,
Right.
I used to do a lot of video game coverage for us. So I still work with a lot of those reps. Our current issue, which is a summer slasher issue, I got to interview Adam Caesar, who created the Clown in a Cornfield series.
Which was good.
And over the years, I think perhaps one of the bigger names I've ever interviewed was William Sadler, who was in The Shawshank Redemption. He's done various horror properties. Felicia Day, who was The Guild, which was a big show, web series. So occasionally, I get to talk to some really cool people. And sometimes it's us just reaching out to them. Like if there's something that's just kind of we're personally interested in. But when there is something on the horizon, then the studios are reaching out and going, do you have anybody available to interview this director, this cast? And
right.
It's always funny. They'll send us like a list of people, and there'll be like a list of like 6 people, and you'll see names on it, and somebody will catch your eye. Oh, I definitely want to talk to, and you go back, yes, I'm available to talk to, and they go, okay, maybe that person's not available, but can you talk to? It's like, of course I will, but if you get the chance, can you please hook me up with this actor that I've just
right.
1 year. I love these films, and I'll watch them as long as they keep making them. This current, we were talking about trending films. This is a good one. A lot of the childhood stuff is now slipping into public domain. The copyrights are expiring. And we're talking about the copyrights expiring outside of Disney's take on things. So the Winnie the Poohs, the Pinocchios, the Popeye.
Good.
A couple of years ago when Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 came out, I got to interview the entire cast and the director. And I remember the PR person right beforehand going, look, this is serious. Please don't make light of anything. Please don't come in with any derogatory comments. And I'm like, I would never do that with anybody. I commend anybody who sees anything through from start to finish. I had a director tell me one time, and perhaps Christine can relate to this, it's amazing that anything ever gets made because of the amount of work that it takes. And so when they came to me and they said, please don't make light of anything, and you get like 15 minutes per person. And I was like, can I have 20? Can I have 30? Because I love talking to all of these people and getting, so what was it like playing Winnie the Pooh? What was it like being a murderous Tigger? And it was so much fun.
Just doing what Tiggers do.
Exactly, but yeah, it's sometimes we pitch people, and I think last year I got to interview Crispin Glover, Back to the Future. He had just been involved in a remake of a Lon Chaney film, so that was fun. It's still, I've been doing this for a while. I've been with Rue for about 6 years now, and it's still fun to get the butterflies. Even though it's virtual and you're just talking to somebody through a screen and you want to fanboy out, and
I know, I do.
Yeah, you got to stick to a topic, but it's still just fun to get those butterflies and go, I'm still a fan,
But is there someone that you would love to interview that you haven't, but you've tried? Like your dream interview.
Who would I want to interview? Okay, yes. One of my favorite films is a musical called Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
And Darren Lynn Bousman, who created that, I chased him for about 3 years to get an interview with him, and I did, and I finally got it. And I think it was the 15th anniversary of Repo, and so we did this interview. It was fantastic. We chatted for hours. I got to see him at a show last year, and he's like, "Aren't you that guy?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm that guy." So I love doing that interview and talking to Repo. Somebody that I reached out, so that kicked off a personal project I was trying to do, which was a book on Repo, the Genetic Opera. And it was hard to wrangle a lot of that cast together. In fact, most people, their PR agents shot me down, told me no. They had moved on. And so it never saw the light of the day, although another author did release. She was actually on set when it was filming, and I think the book is called Blood Saga. It's a great book. Mm-hmm. But somebody that I had reached out to that unfortunately I will never be able to do this interview with now was Anthony Head. And unfortunately he just passed. And Mr. Head's PR people, his firm, a lot of times you reach out to people or you pitch things and you never hear anything back. So as a writer, as a journalist, I'm appreciative when people tell me no. You read my thing, you gave me the time of day to say it's not for us. We all move on. And his people were very polite and very professional, and they just said, Mr. Head's not interested in talking about this at the moment. But man, the stories, could you imagine?
I know. I met, so my other half actually worked at Macy's, started off in the marketing and advertising, and went on to branded entertainment. So he did all of the, the balloons and the floats. He was creative director. And the best part is that when he started to do that, I was a celebrity escort. So I was able to be with like the celebrities, but I was allowed like on the buses that these people were on. And I don't really get nervous over certain things. I fan out. That's the big deal. Like I would be like shaking and like that type, but I get excited. But I never got as nervous as I did when I met like Sarah Brightman.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh my God. I was just like, oh my God. Like to me, she's just like awesome and amazing, but definitely down to earth, but tiny. Like,
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be there, but like that was the same year I was like hanging out with Melissa Rivers, smoking cigarettes with her, and she's like, it was such a fun experience. I love waiting online. I love being first. Ask Kira. I have to be the first in line. So I waited like 7 hours for Jamie Lee Curtis, which is, but
Mhm.
her manager knew, and Jamie spent more time with me because she knew, and that was the best experience. If you ever want to meet or do any, she is phenomenal. She is so down to earth, just like this. Like you don't feel any like, oh, I'm nervous or anything. You were able to be yourself, and it was just great. So
Okay. Okay, so this is interesting. This is an interesting segue you've gone down. I write. I've never made a film. So for like Christine, is there somebody that you would just love to direct? Like who would be, you know, in a film, who would be that person that you would just love to have in one of your projects?
Oh, that is that is a tough question, sir. Because I'm thinking of like all the classics, but then there's so much new talent out there as
Right.
well. Oh, mm, mm. See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like I would get like too fangirly
Yeah.
about the person.
And then
Oh,
you have to go and be their boss for however long, the couple of weeks or something. And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I, I would say Christian Slater.
nice. That's a good one.
Christian Slater.
That's a good one.
That is a very good one.
Yeah.
he's a good actor. I think that, he was really huge at one point, but then I think he's still underrated, even though he was as big as he was. I think he was a really great actor during that time. I mean, like Heathers.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And then
That
yeah.
amazing.
And then for an actress, I was thinking Winona Ryder, but then I was like, Fairuza Balk. I want to see more Fairuza Balk.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hmm. She
Yeah.
was great in The Craft
Mm-hmm.
and Return to Oz.
Mhm.
I don't remember if she did other things.
She was an American Psycho
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
and Waterboy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch
And
Waterboy.
Waterboy.
I remember a lot more American Psycho than I do Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny part was when you said about, the horror comedy kind of thing. I don't like, I also, when I was younger, I used to like go to the video store and like the horror section, I would just take and go down the line
Mm.
and just try everything. That's how I discovered Evil Dead. And that whole franchise, even the TV show, was absolutely awesome. I mean, you knew when you were going in there that this was total cheesy camp to the T. And I think I don't think there's anything that has been recreated in that way in a long time. I
And I
haven't
just
seen.
want to do a correction. I meant American History X. I always mix up the words American Psycho. I meant she's an American History X.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I never saw American History X. So.
But yeah, so since we're going down the line, Kira, is there like one place that you want to investigate as a paranormal investigator, like your dream place? Where would that be?
My dream. Well, the one place that was on my bucket list that I actually went to was Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. I went there in West Virginia. Everything comes full circle. So I was in West Virginia, and so that was good. So I think I would love to do Alcatraz, even though they don't allow you to do it. I would love to go and I would love to do Alcatraz. Yeah. that would if if walls could talk, I would like to hear what they got to say. So that would be.
I just, when you were talking about that, I don't know, I was thinking about like, serial killers. I don't know why.
Well, I'm talking about prisons and lunatic asylums.
But I just thought of it. Like, is there one, besides the normal like group, like is there a movie that somebody like would like to get to see of some other person that's sort of a serial killer that's sort of out underrated? I don't know all of them except the basic group, which is like Manson and Gacy.
So like a true
yeah, almost like a true crime to a point, but told like they did. Like what's his name played? What is that? What did he play? The from American Horror Story. It was really good. I forgot, what was that?
Oh goodness.
Well,
American Horror Story, you had
that blonde guy that was in. He played.
Evan.
Dahmer.
Yeah, Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Oh, that's right. The Dahmer show on.
The Dahmer show. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be others. I mean, besides like a serial killer. I mean, like there's others. Isn't there females?
There's Aileen Wuornos in Monster.
Yeah.
There was that one, and I'm trying to think. There are other female serial killers, but she pretty much, when you think female serial killer, you pretty much think of her. She seems to be pretty synonymous. I just watched and it got horrible reviews, but I watched it. It was like 8 or 9 episodes. It was like a limited docuseries based on the serial killer, Charles Sobrage, who was actually active in the 70s and late 60s into 70s. And he was very prolific. And what he would do is he would ingratiate himself to people in Nepal and in Asia who were going along the hippie trail, and he would poison them, and then he would rob them and steal their identities. And so Interpol and the governments could never found him because he never really had an identity, because he kept using everybody else's pretty much. On their passports after he killed them. So they think he killed over 20 people, but it could be more. And he is still alive and living as a free man in France because he was able to manipulate the system and get him escape from jail and get himself rearrested. So they had to lengthen his sentence until statute of limitations ran out and they could not try him anymore. So I actually researched him a little bit, just because this is part of my wheelhouse too, going into serial killers. And it says if you're trying to contact him that it says to this day he's extremely manipulative and you can't. He only talk through people, only attorneys. You can only go through his attorneys because he still is highly manipulative at 81 years old.
Oh wow,
that to me is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like if you want to talk like what's scary, that's scary. That you are 81 years old and you are still highly manipulative to the point that you have people that need to speak for you and people can't speak to you.
I don't know. I mean, think about it. Like, and I'll say this one more thing because I know that it's getting late. I don't want to keep everybody, but so Kevin, what are your thoughts around Lizzie Borden?
We did the Lizzie Borden house up in Falls. Is it called Falls River?
Falls River. Yeah. So did I. So let's see. Did you get anything from it? Because that's what we talk about.
So we went, and of course it's very commercialized now. It's like a Airbnb, and it's and we went because we were up in Boston, and we travel a lot. And I had some friends that lived in the area. And I said, what do you do if you go to Boston? And being a horror nerd. And I said, you got to go to the Lizzie Borden house. So we go to the Lizzie Borden house, and it was really cool. And then you can go down in the basement. Part of the Airbnb experience is like you can rent this cot down in the basement. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's a water stain over there. And it's supposed to be her dad's face or something. And my girlfriend, who is not really a horror fan at all, she just indulges me in these things. So we went and I was like, can we stay? And she was like, hell no, we can't stay. And they had told us stories that people don't make it through the night. And the Lizzie Borden story is it's pretty interesting. They try to fictionalize it some with different films. I think Christina Ricci just in the last few years did a film, and
they're redoing it again, another version.
Are they?
Murphy's doing that one. I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's places you kind of have to see. You don't always have to agree with what you're seeing, I guess.
Right.
I'm I'm kind of a fan of cult shit. And so there's an author named Jeff Gwynne who I just absolutely love. And he wrote a book on Jim Jones and Jonestown. And I think Nat Geo or BBC or somebody turned it into a several-part series. And then in the last 2 years or so, you had the whole Waco thing get kind of revisited. And, that the site of that compound is still open for public viewing in Waco, where people can go and kind of just get a feel of what was going on there. And that's kind of how like the Lizzie Borden house felt to me. Like I kind of have to see this thing. It was a real ordeal. And it's just kind of surreal to be standing there in the environs, even if I don't necessarily think like, there's stains in the walls that are going to possess.
Right. I agree with you on that. I felt it was so exciting to be in an environment. Like I went on the Jack the Ripper tour when I was in London, and I looked for the cobblestone the whole time, and we went on the trip, and then there it is. It was like you were in Dickens. It was fascinating because that's ever since you were younger, that's all you ever heard was Jack the Ripper and Lizzie Borden, and they just were such a drive. But I don't want to, we stayed in the parents' bedroom. Where did you stay when you stayed over? You were down in the basement?
We didn't actually even stay.
Okay. We stayed in the parents' bedroom. So my mother's like, I gotta go. I'm coming. So it was me, my mother, my friend, and then my mom's two friends. So we had the floor. As soon as we had to be up in the room, my mother was petrified. She's like, I'm going to sleep in the car. It's darker out there than it is in the house. What are you talking about? And then she's like, don't let your feet out. I go out of the cupboard. Why? Because the ghosts are going to get you. I said, I'm going to kill you. I swear to God. You can't, like, it was horrible. And then I'm like, so in the parents' room, they had like an attachment for where children, and there's a bed in there, but where the children would, I just said, you're in there. You're in there, and keep the lights on. Leave me alone. I did sense something when I was there. It was not an experience with Lizzie or anybody else. It was with a little boy. So they tell you that we're first to go downstairs because we're the hierarchy in this bed and breakfast because we're in the parents' bedroom. So we went downstairs. You have to be downstairs at 7:00 in the morning. Can we be a little bit later? No, this is a bed and breakfast. And I said, I'm not asking for lunch. I'm just asking like 7:00. Okay, so we went downstairs, and the best part was, but they gave you like little cookies. They were hatchet, like
of course they were.
And they were trimmed in red icing. They were so cute. Anyway, so the lady goes, so did you guys experience anything? And I go, Yeah, I did, but I just think maybe it was just my brain
Mhm.
doing something. And they go, no, tell me. So I said, I saw a little blonde headed boy. And the lady goes, you would. And I go, why? And she said, because I guess Lizzie's home also adjoined to her cousin's home and they shared a well. So they would go. So her cousin killed her two children in the well that was sort of closer to Lizzie's property.
Mhm.
So you do see them. And I was like, oh, okay. So that hold the whole dynamics. So I argue with my partner at the store, the parlor where I am. Genevieve believes Lizzie did it. I do not. I don't believe she's haunting it. I believe she's at her other place, Ravencroft or Raven, whatever. She's
Right.
not there. She didn't want to be there when she was alive. She's going to be there when she's dead. No.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
she's over at the other spot. That's my opinion.
Place that they
I think
moved.
sister did it. That's
Okay.
what I do. I don't know why. I just think that she did it. And Lizzie was stronger and she took on the responsibility of going through it all instead of the sister. That's
Yeah.
just my thought. Anyway.
So anyway, my not only are we going at an hour and a half, but my computer is going to die. So
Okay. And it's all John's fault. Anyway.
so that being said, what do you want to wrap up with, Kev?
The Hollow Paracon, you know, like we've said, we do probably 24 or more events every year, and we love partnering with live event partners out in the industry. Definitely excited to do this event August 22nd because it's, at least for me personally, the first time that we've done a paranormal and horror film fest, kind of a hybrid event. I'm excited to come over into the paranormal world for a weekend, and I'm excited at the idea of introducing perhaps some ghost hunters over into the celluloid blood and gut side of what we do. So we're excited for it, yeah, and it all goes for a fantastic cause, organizations that need our help more now than ever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
Christine,
I,
let me get to Christine, John. Christine,
Yes.
what do you want to wrap up with?
Okay. Well, yeah, definitely get your tickets at Eventbrite now. They are super affordable and it gets you into pretty much everything at the festival. So it is totally worth it, this all-inclusive price. There is so much to do, from filmmakers to paranormal to just someone looking for something to do this weekend who have an open mind and want to meet and join more community. This is an opportunity to connect with like-minded or other people. So come on out.
Absolutely, because it's all about what, making connections and just being, the weird kids all together in one spot and enjoying it, right?
Yep.
Pretty much. Anything else, John?
I'm just excited that you know Kevin, that you're coming, and that it's exciting to have an opportunity to meet you in person instead of via Zoom. I'm just excited that everybody that we know is excited and thrilled to be a part of something that we put together, and it's just so exciting to see what it's going to be and how good it's going to be for everybody. So I'm come out and have a good time.
Absolutely. So that being said, I wish everybody a good night, and I will see you on August 22nd at Stockton University. Coming out, get your tickets on Eventbrite, and if you have any questions, you can email us at 9lifeparanormal@gmail.com. We can email
Kevin at rue-morgue.com. Hyphen, it's the little dash, but I'm a writer. It's called a hyphen. So Kevin at rue-morgue.com.
And Christine, for any of your other film related questions, where can we reach you, Christine?
If you have any questions about the films, is C. Jansen at Beautiful Darkness Productions.
.com. And John at the Parlor, where he keeps his oddities and Gothic art collections. Where can people contact you?
I was going to say, don't send me an email. I don't read them.
That's true. Okay, just call him at the Parlor.
Call me at the Parlor. You know? Yeah, if you know me, I really don't.
That's true.
Like, whatever. If it's important, she'll tell me.
Yeah, usually I'm the secretary. All right. So good night, everybody, and
yes,
I will
see you
see you later.
Bye, guys. Thank you.